Welcome back to my drawing journal for February 2023. My name is Freddie. This video will cover weeks 5 through 8 of this year. So let's get started. Week 5, Terako Descends. Terako as a character is probably one of my favorites. She's gone through several versions, but she's a lot of what I like in a strong female protagonist. Her world is postmodern day, grounded in reality with high tech, but bent to the whim of magic and other fantasy elements. It's very Final Fantasy VII if Midgard was expanded to the majority of the world. The Red Sorceress from Week 1 is the main antagonist of Teruka's story, only because Teruka believes that the Red Sorceress was the reason her sister flipped sides. This drawing was not originally going to have a background and was going to be more of just a character profile. Once I started playing with colors and lighting, the city background came in mind. In the future, I want to have a better idea of the whole picture as I sketch. One of my biggest faults that I have noticed is that I tend to focus on character designs, but lack in telling a story with each project. The background ends up being an afterthought, but I want them to be just as important as the character. Week 6, Quest Cafe. Quest as a character is simple. She's the daughter of a dojo master and has been part of her family's dojo since she can remember. In the story, because of her well disciplined upbringing, she's the voice of reason amongst friends like Kaylee and Sayako. A lot of her older design is a mix between a school uniform and a robe. That's the best way I can put it, and was associated with butterflies in all her old drawings. The concept of this was originally going to be a profile view of her in more or less the same pose and setting, and later changed it to what it is now. I want to start getting into doing closer shots because I've been doing a lot of full character drawings. I think mixing it up every now and then to play with perspective and angles would do me some good. The focus of this was finding brushes that worked for creating backgrounds. So far, I've found several that do very well with blending colors. In fact, I believe I only used one brush for the entire background, which is a good thing or a bad thing depending on who you are. My only gripe is that I wish I took more time with the background and gave myself more time to develop it. I'm looking at it now and there are certain things that feel like they stand out more than what they probably should. Color choice is usually pretty important with backgrounds, and I want to be able to take more time to not only adjust but to also choose colors that will carefully allow the background to look a little bit more natural. My goal is to discipline myself to not finish last minute during the week and allow for projects to breathe. Sometimes stepping away will give you a fresh perspective instead of rushing to finish with having regrets later. Week 7, New Beginnings. I wanted to do something for Valentine's week. Originally, the idea was something like a loving embrace between two humans. I thought I'd do a twist and make it two machines or robots as the two. Funny thing is, these two robots are based on both Sho and Kaylee of the series I originally wrote in high school. The concept was that they lived in modern day settings, and the latest thing was high speed skating. I went on to design what these high speed skates would look like, how they'd function electromagnetically, and how they achieved high speed. The story was that both Kaylee and Sho eventually found out that they'd undergo a transformation that no one else seemingly could, and turn into full fledged machines if they went faster at a certain speed. I guess think Back to the Future, except there's no DeLorean, there's no time travel, and you just turn into a machine that can go even faster. Believe me, there's a huge backstory that gets unraveled later, but I won't go into it right now. In any case, I'm getting off base here. The images I threw up were original designs of both Sho and Kaylee as machines. Sho in the blue, Kaylee in the red. They're kind of funny looking and pretty Mega Man inspired. As for the drawing itself, I didn't have much of a plan. I didn't use vector lines, so I wasn't safe to adjust my lines later, and I had to do it manually. Nor did I have an updated design to go off of. It ultimately felt a bit inconsistent for my taste, but I kept going until I finished. Let's move on to week 8, Gun Bun Hop. This is Sylvie. She's a humanoid rabbit, more human than rabbit. It's just an excuse to put ears on her, I guess. Her character is originally a play on a rabbit out of a hat and everything that has to do with magic and performance magic. She's another one of the Red Sorceress' circle as an elite sniper. She's supposed to have a gun and so on and so forth. I don't really have a whole lot of images to share for this one, so it's just going to be the time lapse for the rest. Originally, this drawing was very reminiscent of a ballerina leaping. I thought doing that, even after considering it numerous times, that it'd be too easy to go in that direction. I considered a witch again because I love witches, but it ultimately came down to redeveloping Sylvie and her attire. The hardest part of this was the bodysuit. For the texture of it, I used a picture I took of one of my cats and filtered it to oblivion. Getting a color that wouldn't take focus away from the rest of her drawing took longer than I anticipated, and going from a light to a darker color helped balance the colors a bit better. The coloring style is a lot softer this time around. I could have done this in the Picasso style I have been admiring, but I felt that the softer might fit the gracefulness I was aiming for. The background of this is just quickly thrown together. The lighting sort of doesn't make any sense, but I thought it looked good, so I think that's all that really matters. And I went with it. I don't think it has to be perfect. I don't think any drawing has to be perfect unless you're truly into that, but your work is still going to shine regardless if you just put the effort into it. This drawing is also a reminder to me that no matter how much confidence I have in my own abilities, I can still become blind to what I'm doing. You're going to notice what I mean towards the second half of the time lapse with their face. And I'm mentioning this because I showed what I felt was a finished version of the drawing to someone, and the first thing she said was, "Her face looks strange." My immediate reaction was like, "Nah, it can't be. Like, I just spent all this time on this making sure it's perfect." But when I took a look again, I saw that she was right. The freshest pair of eyes that you can have are those of people that haven't been seeing the drawing for however long you've been working on it. You yourself know what you're wanting to achieve, but you won't know if you're hitting the mark until someone can honestly tell you how they feel about it. Criticism is and should be treated as a godsend because it teaches us that we can still become better at what we do. It's easy to dismiss negative criticism, especially if you were expecting a different reaction. It's easy to accept any praise for the hard work you've put into it. It does, however, take more to openly accept any form of criticism. I think remarks such as, "that looks good," or something as simple as "nice," does sound nice to hear. The most valuable criticism to me has always been the most critical. Back when I started drawing women, I drew a couple. I told my friend that it was a guy and a girl. My friend asked me, "which one's the girl?" It felt mean at the time, but there was truth to it. I also think we take negative criticism as mean a lot of times and want to block that out. It's the easy thing to do. Sometimes it's not what you're looking for, and it saves you the headache of dealing with it. My only advice is that you put it on the list of things you wish to improve on. You'll eventually come around to it as you grow. Of course, there's negative criticism and then there's maliciously mean, which can get hard to differentiate. On the flip side, if someone does ask for any critiques on what they've been working on, give them something. Tell them what you like about it. Is it the line work? Is it the colors, the color choices? Is it the composition? Anything. It's better than just telling someone, "oh, that looks good. That looks amazing. That looks great. That looks really good." Give them something more to chew on. It's very valuable for an artist to hear something other than just a one word answer. We as artists do want to continue growing. The upcoming week 9 will be Kaylee Revisited 2023. It's a continuation of the yearly Kaylee drawing I used to do to track progress. I've also been playing a lot of Sons of the Forest with some friends, and it started looking like one of the gray cannibals that you sometimes encounter. I hope you've enjoyed this entry in my journal for February. I hope that you found something in it that might have inspired you to pick up drawing once again. My hope overall is to show that even if you haven't drawn in a long time or you haven't found the inspiration, that you can still find inspiration by seeing other people's works, their process, and their choices. I think everyone is definitely capable of still continuing what they love to do. And I'd say just absolutely go for it. Thanks for watching.